Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Okay, so Jack Brennan comes to see Holly, who, by the way, before he even came in, she is very, very anxious to sit there and get rid of those diamonds as soon as possible. But he comes over there, he wants to sit there and try to get info on Sitwell. His operation, how he moves, all of it. And of course, Holly does nothing but lie to her teeth. I only know him on a personal level. I have no idea what kind of business he does or anything like that. He kept that stuff away from me. And of course, Jack knows that she's lying because, hell, Holly's reputation is infamous. So while he's getting no answers whatsoever, Felicia comes in. Felicia comes in, distinct little attitude, and informs Holly that he's the reason why Frisco left. Why Frisco got fired. I'm like, oh, you mean the Frisco that you chased around the world? That you dumped your two little girls on, Mac, to sit there and chase Frisco? Oh, that Frisco. Oh, okay. Alright, cool. When you became an absentee mom. Got you. So, after a while, Jack pretty much is like, alright, I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm not going to sit there and keep taking this negative vibe from this chick. So, he leaves. And, they catch up a little bit, and she asks, did you go and see Robert? And Holly's like, no, I didn't really do that because Mac was like, it's pretty much a bad idea. He's in a good place pretty much, and, I don't really stay around too long or whatever. And it just pretty much was like, it was just kind of a no-go. And I agree with Mac. Listen, he's in a good place right now. He has a great career. He has a great woman and everything like that. So it's like, just kind of chill out. Felicia, for some odd reason, is like, well, eventually you're gonna have to sit there and see each other. And she pretty much encourages Holly to go and see Robert. And, Holly's like, well, Mac thinks it's a bad idea, which he's completely right about. So didn't she do that shit the last time that she was in town? Is that she pretty much kind of encouraged Holly to try to find a way to be with Robert, even though that he was seeing somebody? And now she's doing that dumb shit all over again. And I don't understand why. I'm like, that pretty much Robert is spoken for and that he's in a good place, and how he is. So I don't really understand, why would you encourage that for? Felicia has not exactly been my favorite character, but the level of stupidness that she's doing right now is not changing that opinion. Alright, let's go with Violet. Violet with Tracy, Violet with Gio. Tracy, pretty much for the most part, kind of gives Violet the same talking points that Chase and Brooklyn did. As far as hitting bullies, no matter what they do, no matter how angry that they make you, it doesn't give you the right to sit there and hit them and violence and stuff like that. It's just a no-no. Gio, on the other hand, I agree with Gio. And I said this the last time. Listen, you don't deal with bullies by simply walking away. Because all that's going to sit there and do is encourage them to sit there and keep doing what they're doing. Now, yes, you can sit there and say, well, you can talk to a teacher, you can talk to a principal. But in all reality, the only thing that usually tends to do is to make matters worse. Because even if somehow you convince, you're able to sit there and deal with that bullying, there's just going to be another one. There's just going to be another one after that. And they're going to sit there and see how you deal with it. And it's a no-win situation. So that's why I agree with Gio. When Gio was pretty much just like, yo, listen, back in the old neighborhood or whatever, my family would pretty much been cheering. You don't let somebody disrespect you or your family. Point blank, period. Now, while that's going on, you got Chase in Brooklyn talking to the principal and finds out a lot of information as far as her being even more withdrawn at school because of the, stuff that's going on with her dad. So pretty much long story short, Chase in Brooklyn is like, listen, we'll keep an eye on her, we'll keep supporting her and yada 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 yada, just, making sure that she kind of gets back on track and even talking about therapy. So you kind of clear up things for the most part. And this is where Tracy decides to go overboard. Lois comes in and, they talk for a little bit. They talk about the violent situation. And Tracy's like, oh, I handled it. I'm like, what do you mean you handled it? Diane comes to the school and is pretty much talking about legal action and this, that, and the third. I'm like, boo, this is overkill. Okay? This is overkill right there. And I'm so glad that Brooklyn and Chase kind of like told her, like, yo, listen, we got this. We don't need you here. And what was Diane supposed to do anyway? At the end of the day, um, she got suspended for a week. It is what it is. What was she supposed to do? Sit there and scare the school straight? Problem you deal with bougie ass rich people. Now, the one thing I totally did not agree with is when Chase was like, you need to sit there and apologize. I was like, apologize for what? I understand that violence isn't always the answer, but neither is bullying. So partly I was like, why the hell should she have to sit there and apologize to him for hitting him when he's the one that sat there and started it? Like, are you kidding me? Listen, you can walk away, whatever, and that's fine. You cannot sit there and speak to each other or whatever. But that apology, nah, that shit don't sit well with me. Um, Lucky and Aiden finally meet up, and in the beginning it's kind of awkward. And Liz comes over there to sit there and play mediator, gets them in the conference room, and makes sure that they're good before she leaves. And she's kind of worrying a little bit to sit there and see how that interaction goes. And long story short, after Aiden tells Lucky that he's gay, he takes a second or whatever. And I guess it kind of worries Aiden to sit there and see how he's going to react. But, at the end of the day, that's his son no matter what. He's going to love him unconditionally. Straight, gay, bi, whatever. He's going to sit there and love him unconditionally. After that, everything kind of just goes copacetic for the most part. Um, Part of me sits there and think that what if it would have went the other way? What if you would have initially had an issue with that? Eventually it would have worked it out or whatever. What if it would have went that way? Because part of me felt like it would have been a little bit more realistic. Yes, most parents would sit there and again love their child unconditionally. That's not always the case though. And part of me would have been like, I felt like it would have been a little more better, a little more drama, and kind of really, really work through it while also getting to know his son instead of just the PC automatically accepting him. Listen, in a perfect world, yes, that's how it should be. In my belief, that's how it should be. Regardless of what your child is, you love them unconditionally. Fortunately, not everyone has that same line of thinking. Um, Now after that, after they talk or whatever, and he leaves, Liz comes in there with bad news that Lucky isn't a match. So goes back to that theory, huh? We all know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know, this is the theory from Soapter. not always the most reliable source, but that's just her theory that, Sam's going to get killed off and save Lulu. I'm still sitting there thinking it's going to be a drowning incident. I don't know why, but I just do, because they're going to have to sit there and find that gun. So, Robert also tells Diane that Holly's back in town. He's like, listen, I want to sit there and tell you, give you a heads up, because I don't want to hide anything from you. And I guess I'm like, okay, that's fine, because if she would have found out that he knew and didn't say anything, she might have been kind of ballistic, which would have been a little extra in my opinion. But he does sit there and tell him, just to let her know, hey, listen, Holly's my past, you're my future. Which again, it's like, why is Felicia encouraging that shit for? I don't get that. Um, Towards the end, Robert did wind up meeting up with Holly's. Holly decided to take there and take Felicia's advice and go and see him. Now he said something that's a little kind of off. You know, she was like, "Oh, it sounds like you were expecting me." And he was like, I've been expecting you my whole life." I'm like, "What? What does that mean?" You can see how that can be kind of off-putting. Like, imagine if he actually said that and Diane was in the room. The hell are you doing? Now, the rest of the episode, for the most part, wasn't really that interesting. Like, Maxie wasn't meeting up with Lucas. They went up catching up and talking about each other's lives and stuff. It was whatever. Um, Even the whole talk with Wiley felt kind of flat. Michael was not there explaining to Wiley um, the relationship between Lucas and him and Wiley and the whole history or whatever a little bit. That they thought that Wiley was your dad and found out later on it was Michael or whatever. And it just seemed like Wiley was just like, oh, okay. So we gonna go somewhere else now? We gonna get cookies or something like that? We're going to the boat? Like what are we doing? It just seemed like it went kind of flat and a little unnecessary. Like that talk could have been off screen because like it didn't really do anything. I mean, I guess part of it was kind of interesting because Willow seeing um, Lucas, that brought up some history, some drama, whatever, from that craziness before with now. Um, Also, for anyone that does boating, bananas is a bad luck for like boating. I don't know. I know nothing about boating. I don't understand how bananas and boating is somehow bad luck. So I don't fully get that. Anyway, I think that's about it for the most part. There might have been some stuff I probably left out, but that is the gist of the episode and just my thought on it. Now, if I forgot anything, you know what to do. Write it down in the comment section, or better yet, come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Bold and Beautiful, and Young and Restless. With that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video or live stream.